So yes, I'm absolutely delighted to welcome our next keynote speaker, Dr. Djamila Amimer. Dr. Djamila Amimer founded Mind Centers Global to help businesses and organizations apply AI. She is ranked among the top 10 global thought leaders in AI and emerging technologies, and also in predictive analytics. Dr. Djamila is passionate about making AI accessible for everyone. I'm very much interested in hearing what you've got to say about this. So yes, over to you, and looking forward to hearing what you've got to say and your presentation.
So thanks for this opportunity. Wanted to talk today, to take a step back and talk about the state of AI in drug discovery. Roxy, thanks for the introduction. So my name is Djamila Amimer. I'm the CEO and founder of Mind Centers Global, with the mission to help businesses apply AI and investors optimize their AI portfolio. So I wanted first to say, let's ask a question, what is AI? Because AI means different things to different people. So for some people, AI means robots. For other people means, any smart technology, like, if you have like an iPhone or, an Apple Pad, then, somehow you are using AI. For others, using drones is AI. For others, algorithms and, predicting calls and predicting risk and predicting things to happen, that's AI. But also, I wanted just to show the picture in the middle of the faces. So those faces are basically fake pictures. So these are pictures of people that do not exist in reality. It has been produced by AI. So AI means a lot of things. I want to, the definition that I like the most is the one that was put by John McCarthy in 1956. He was the first person to coin the term AI, and he defined AI as the science and engineering of making intelligent machines. And in a way, AI is not just one field, it's a combination of a lot of fields coming together. We are talking about mathematics and statistics and neuroscience and psychology and computer vision, and all those things coming together to form the field of AI. So within AI, you have robotics, autonomous or driverless car, virtual agent. But the most famous, subfield of AI is machine learning. And then within that, we have the famous deep learning that a lot of people have heard of, the progress we had so far around, the computing power. So because now we have so much powerful computer, then we can now execute those algorithms, such as deep learning. For the ones who have followed, for example, DeepMind, the famous AlphaGo, game that has beaten basically a human expert at the Chinese Go game, have used a combination of deep learning and reinforced learning to be able to achieve that. So when we talk about the business, most of the time when we talk about AI in business, we are really talking about machine learning in business. So when we look at the drug discovery area, so how AI has been used so far. So there have been 4 main areas where AI has been helping. One is around drug screening. So this is more about using AI for virtual screening, using AI to identify the targets. We also see AI being used in chemical synthesis. So for example, finding the synthetic routes, predicting the pathways of those syntheses. Another area is drug repurposing. So using AI to identify new targets, or using AI to predict, drug protein binding, for example. Another area is polypharmacology. So this is more about, for example, predicting side effects and so on. So there have been several areas where AI has been used in drug discovery. Now, if we look in terms of investments and funding, so you can see that in 2021, we have funded more than 4 billion in AI in drug discovery. And that amount is the double amount of the money invested in 2020. So there have been a lot of interest, in AI in this area, in particular, after COVID, there have been a lot of money poured into this area. When you look at AI, there are a lot of techniques within machine learning and deep learning that are used. However, there are two methods here that I want to highlight. One is the NLP, the natural language processing. So this is all about trying to understand the human language and try, to use it to read research paper and try to, summarize what the research paper, is about and the findings. It's another area is knowledge graph, which is a lot, used a lot in drug discovery in AI. And this is all about, trying to find the relationship between entities and trying to find, relationship between different factors. And it's used a lot in drug discovery. Now, when we look a little bit further into in terms of the market share and the application, so the application so far, you can see, pie chart. So most of the AI in drug discovery application, they're around oncology, infectious disease, neurological disorders. Those are, taking the biggest share of AI in drug discovery application. In terms of the projected market share, so we project that the AI in drug discovery market share by 2028 will be around 7 billion. You can see that there are like two regions that are really taking the most portions of that share. The first one is Asia Pacific, followed by North America. Then you get Europe and the rest of the world. Now, if we look at the competitive landscape, and by the way, this is not an exhaustive picture. I just wanted to take a snapshot and basically talk about some of those competitors in this area. But if we want to group them, basically we have three groups. We have the pharmaceutical groups, companies. So those are traditional pharmaceutical companies that produce medicine and drugs. And they have looked into using an AI and investing in AI. Then we have the second group, which are the tech companies. So those are, have nothing to do with, the area of healthcare. They have the technologies, so the likes of IBM and Google and the Microsoft. And then you have the third category, which are the AI startups. So those are the AI startups that are using both the AI, knowledge and using kind of the healthcare knowledge and putting together those startups to, solve, problems within the drug discovery area. So there are examples, for example, where we have AstraZeneca is using, for example, AI to try to predict what molecule to produce next, and is putting money internally. So they're heavily investing into creating their own internal researcher, data scientists, but they're also investing commercially, also in externally. You have the like of Novartis, for example, that has formed a partnership with Microsoft to develop an AI platform that can suggest, for example, molecules. We have also the example of Johnson & Johnson that is using AI in the robotics, area of AI. So they're using AI in what we refer to, basically surgical instruments. When we look more detail into companies, we have the like of obviously Google with its original DeepMind AlphaFold. They have created an algorithm or an application that can predict protein structure and protein folding structure. They have also announced that they're going to launch a brand new company that will only work and focus their work on AI in drug discovery. We have also the like of, we mentioned Microsoft's partnership with Novartis, but we also have the like of NVIDIA that through its GPU, they have what they call the NVIDIA Clara Discovery. So that's an AI platform that accelerate the computations that are needed to discover new molecules and new drugs. Then you have the third group, which is the AI startup. So obviously we have the famous UK example, Benevolent AI, which is using AI and more specifically, the graph knowledge type of AI methods to try to research literature and try to find connections, to find like new pathways to new components, new drugs. You have the example of here, let's take the example of AI focuses on pathology to try to find what is the drug effects of those different drugs on pathologies. So the key message in here is, you have those three groups competing together, but at the same time, they're also collaborating to progress AI in drug discovery. Now, if we look in terms, okay, so if we look in the future, what are the key drivers that will propel and accelerate AI in drug discovery? There are like two key factors. One is around, which I've hinted a little bit at the previous slide, which is collaboration and partnerships. They're going to be really key, looking forward in terms of AI in drug discovery. Here we have a few examples on how those collaboration are working right now. So we have the example of here, new probe with the C2 AI genomics are basically putting together an initiative to screen and monitor cancer. We have Deep Cell and Stanford University that are doing like a project around trying to have a deeper look at around 2 million cells, have a better knowledge and a deeper understanding of cells within our bodies. We have Genomian and Elexon AstraZeneca rare disease that are applying AI to try to have a more accurate diagnosis of rare disease. And we have also the example of AstraZeneca and Benevolent AI that are putting together, that combined effort to try to find, discover new treatments for chronic kidney disease and idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. So that gives you a flavor on how those, parties are getting together to progress the field. It's not yet proven, but why are all those parties are putting efforts in AI? Because it's believed that AI will reduce the time to discover a treatment, but it also reduce the cost to discover new treatment. And there are like some initial studies that suggest that AI potentially reduce costs by up to 70%. And I guess like the future will tell us how far we are from that estimate. But this is why people are really keen, in applying in AI in this area. Now, there are not, in addition to the drivers and the opportunities, there are also challenges. So one of the obvious challenges is around data. With any kind of tool or technology, if you have like, we all know the old saying that says basically garbage in, garbage out. So if you have poor quality data, you are going to get like poor quality outcome. So one of the challenges is how can we improve volume and the quality of data in drug discovery, make sure that the outcomes of those AI models are good. Another challenge for AI in drug discovery is around interpretability. So how can we interpret and how can we explain the outcomes of those AI models? Some of those AI models are so big and so complex, it becomes hardly difficult to know what is happening inside of the models, especially if you're using, the kind of deep learning. So kind of, companies in this area really need to some time, to improve the transparency and the explainability of their AI models, especially because we all know that healthcare is heavily regulated. So we know, to have like AI models that are transparent and that could be explained. Another area is a lack or the limitation of AI talents or AI capabilities within those companies. So there is a lot of efforts that needs to be addressed and together to build those internal data scientist team, internal AI research researchers teams. Companies need to invest on those capabilities, for AI to be successfully applied in this area. Another area that I wanted to highlight, but I'm not going to go into much details, but it's kind of the technical aspect of AI in drug discovery. So we know, for example, when looking at a drug, for example, or a new treatment, it's not about, you have several objectives that you would like to optimize. It's not just one. You would like to find, like, for example, a drug that is efficient, has the lowest number of side effects, that can go with maybe with other drugs. So you will have several functions that you try to optimize, and that could be an issue when you apply very simplistic AI models. So you need really to have and develop a little bit more sophisticated AI algorithms, AI models to cope with this multi-objective of optimization within an AI context. Now look at, so what are the elements to make AI successful for drug discovery projects? So we talked about alliances, collaboration, and partnership. We mentioned the AI talents and capabilities. We also mentioned data, the technology ecosystem that needs to go about, because you need to have a good volume of data and a good quality of data, but you also need to have infrastructure that can facilitate, the use of that data, the transition of data from one phase to another. But another two components that are really important and sometimes that get missed, along the process. One is an AI strategy. You really have to have a robust AI strategy in place to be successful. So you need to know where you are now and what is your vision or what is your ambition, then determine what will be the building blocks to get you there. If they're like, and I'm going to exaggerate, but if there are going to be 100 ways on how you can apply AI, and we have seen there is just one way to apply AI, there could be several ways on how AI could be used in drug discovery. How can we identify the ones that will add the most value to the business? And all that, it has to be done, under that AI strategy. Then the other component is business integration. So whatever strategy you come up with, whatever AI platform you end up developing and using, it has to be integrating within your current business processes and the procedures. Otherwise, if you don't do that, you will end up, basically putting your product on the shelf. You need to have a business integration that shows how AI is being used on these companies, that shows the governance, structure around that, who has the accountability, who signs on that, AI outcomes, and that's kind of a way on how you integrate your AI model and, your AI platforms in your current process. So I think this is really what I want to show, a flavor of what we can look for, in terms of the drivers, the challenges, but also some kind of like tips and guidance on how you may have, successful projects. Happy to take questions afterwards.
Thank you so much. That was really enlightening. We do have, I can see quite a few comments in the chat and some questions, but I think let's go through them towards the end during the panel session, if that's okay with you.